Good morning. Welcome back. So this morning I wanted to bring a short devotion. I guess I don't even know that I'd call it a devotion, more of a correction, I'd say. Um, but I'm sure there's a lesson in here somewhere. So New Year's Eve, I brought a message at the church. I posted it in the devotions section, the devotions playlist. And I related I was talking about the power of our words. I didn't, it wasn't as long of a message as it should have been or could have been. There's still a lot more to say on that topic, but I used the Tower of Babel as a reference to the power of our words. And in that message, I said that where they went wrong in the Tower of Babel was using their words to seek their own glory. And I'm not necessarily certain that was accurate anymore. God keeps putting the Tower of Babel story in front of me over the past 2 weeks. He just keeps putting it in front of me, and I feel that he's telling me that, not necessarily that I got it wrong, but that I misrepresented that story. It's still certainly a testament to the power of our word, the power of human communication, and also the power of God. But here's the thing, Babel, and it says in the previous chapter that the beginning of Nimrod's kingdom was Babel, and well, now I forgot the other regions. So Nimrod was the, I guess, third generation after Noah. It was Nimrod's son Ham, who begat Cush, Noah's son Ham, who begat Cush, who begat Nimrod. Where is that? So, and Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. So that's Genesis 10, 8 through 10. Now, we don't know a lot about Nimrod. He's not really mentioned that many times in the Bible. There is some contextual things that could be gathered where they're speaking of Babylon. But this is touchy because this is going to kind of negate theology a little bit here, or at least, if not negate, at least be a little bit argumentative with what's accepted theologically. But what is theology but the interpretation of the Bible and other sources of somebody else, somebody who is, granted, much smarter than myself, and groups and just a massive amount of people who have interpreted these stories, and it's generally accepted that Nimrod was an evil man, that as he began his kingdom in Babel and Erech and Akkad and Calneh, that he began to build the Tower of Babel to seek his glory, or seek the glory of mankind. I don't think that that's true, and I'll explain why. All throughout the Old Testament, especially these early times. I mean, just a couple chapters prior to this, God wiped out all of mankind for their wickedness, um, save Noah and his sons, and his wife and his sons' wives. And so wickedness was punished it was dealt with very harshly. I mean, you go, and not even necessarily wickedness, just any sin. Look at Lot's wife. A few chapters later, after this, Lot's wife, she only looked back at Sodom and Gomorrah as it burned to the ground, and she was turned into a pillar of salt. She wasn't wicked. She just she didn't listen when she was when I mean, Lot was told not to look back, and presumably Lot told her not to look back. She wasn't wicked, but she did look back, and in fact was turned into a pillar of salt. That's a pretty harsh punishment. And you think of well, Ananias and Sapphira. They weren't from the Old Testament, but they were dishonest with their offerings, and they were both killed. They dropped dead. You look at Cain. Cain was forced to walk the earth as a fugitive and a vagabond. Let's see. We're just gonna. So I have a list of some punishments pulled up here. So Korah, along with Dathan and Abiram, they challenged the authority and leadership roles appointed by God. The earth opened up and swallowed them, just for challenging the leadership roles appointed by God. Pharaoh and the Egyptians, of course, they went through the plagues, and then it ended with all of the firstborn being slain. I mean, these are extremely severe punishments, and I'm not saying they weren't warranted by any means. I think that these are all valuable lessons, and my point is, if God's punishments all throughout the Old Testaments were this harsh, then it certainly seems that if man were building a tower to try to attain heaven for themselves, to seek their own glory, if they thought that they could reach heaven without God, that sounds like wickedness to me, and it seems as if that would be punished severely. But wickedness isn't mentioned. It's not mentioned that it was unrighteous. Of course, it's not mentioned that it was righteous either. But what does God actually say about this? God says, "Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. So the Lord saw it. He saw what the men were doing, and he said, "Behold, look at that. Look at what they're doing." And the power of their word, and this was my point in the message that I brought New Year's Eve, the power of their word was so great that they would actually have been able to do it had God not confounded them. But God's not mad. God didn't say that it's wickedness. God just said that, where is it? So God just says that nothing will be restrained from them. And God doesn't punish them, so to speak. I mean, is it a punishment to remove their ability to communicate effectively? Maybe, but I don't think that was the intention. I don't think it was intended as a punishment. I think it was just God realized that they had a little too much power, so he slowed them down. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't turn anybody into pillars of salt. He didn't open up the earth and swallow them in the tower in the city. He didn't rain down fire and brimstone. God didn't destroy anything. He didn't hurt anyone. So I have a really hard time believing that this act by the people of Babel, I have a hard time believing that it was done in wickedness, because God would have known that it was wickedness in their hearts. I think that they were earnestly seeking heaven, seeking God. It's not expressly stated, but if they weren't, I feel that God would have ended them in much more a permanent a way than to confound their speech. I guess my point is today, I feel that I was too hasty in delivering my message on New Year's Eve in the way that I did. I think that I should have studied it out more. I'm not saying I would have seen this at that time. I think the Lord just needed to keep showing me this, and I have a lot to learn. I really want to study out the life of Nimrod as much as I can and just see what I can come up with. And I'll probably bring a message on that too, but I guess this is me saying I am a remarkably fallible human being, and I need to take my time with my study, and also don't just blindly accept theology. Do your own study. Read the Bible. Let the Lord talk to you. Let the Lord lead you as to what you should believe. Theologians are incredibly intelligent human beings, and they are correct more often than not. I'm certain of it. But they aren't. Theologians are not the voice of God, and theology is not the word of God. So, in the absence of study, go with what theology tells you. But if you have the time and you let the Lord lead you in your own study, trust what the Lord tells you and trust what the Lord shows you. I'm excited to find out more about Nimrod. I'm excited to see where the Lord leads me in my search for this information. And I'm excited to share it with you when I find it. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I hope you're not disappointed with my views on commonly accepted theology. But we don't follow men. We follow God. I do anyway, and I pray that you do as well. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I love you all. God bless you. I hope you have a great day. I pray that you're grateful today. Bye.